Okay, so before we get into what's what happens after the dockings are done, I forgot to mention something in the last video, and that's the fact that I forgot to mention that in this in the main script there is something you do have to edit, and it's again this VMD path. I forgot to mention it earlier, which is my mistake, but it's very easy to restart. So if you duplicate this file, so that's to take a bit. But basically what we did for the .bashrc earlier, we're going to include the same path here, right? And so if you want to restart, all you have to do is delete these. Delete this in the log file. And you can just start from the beginning. You don't have to worry about the receptor overriding anything. This receptor PDB will always be new every single time. So don't worry about deleting this. You can delete it if you want, but it doesn't matter. And so you can just quickly restart. So yeah, make sure you switch this to your path. If it's the same, you can leave it, then you're fine. But if it's not the same, make sure you switch it. Okay, there's that. So once the dockings are done, you're going to get this quick prompt that says you've completed your virtual screenings, and now it's going to do all the other work. That is, it's a nuisance when you have to do it individually for everything. So what we're going to do is we're going to split the output files. We're going to convert the PDB QTs to PDB. We're going to make complex PDBs, and we're going to organize the log files. And so I ran these simulations already because I know they take a while. So you could just hit yes, and all this will be done for you. And so let's get up to the part where, okay. So you can see now all the work that's been done. If you go to login, you can see then PDBs, I think in PDB QTs. You then have these complex PDBs here, right? And you also created this log file over here. So in each virtual screening, over here in the main directory, you're gonna see this log folder created. This log folder has all the log files which have basically all the binding affinities. Now they can be a nuisance going back and forth to all the time, and then noting all of them down. So I made it so that it made a summary log here, so that you could just quickly enter this in whatever Excel chart you want. Basically, these are all the best binding affinities predicted for the 5 runs. So this is for run 1, run 2, run 3, run 4, run 5. Right? And everything here is for ligand 1, everything here is for ligand 2, etc. So you can go ahead and note that rather fast. That's that. After that, it's going to ask you. So that's all that was done there. Then the next thing you want to do is prep your files for empty. Now in this case, I'm not going to go too much into it. I'm just going to convert them from the complex, the regular complex PDBs, to a more formatted version for Amber MD simulation. You might be wondering what that actually means. Well, in general, there's a difference between the two. Like, look, if I show you this one, this is a regular complex PDB, and this is just an example of one that's suited for Amber MD. Now you notice there's a difference. And there's a difference in numbering that has to do with indices and MD simulation and get further retract, so we don't really care about them. later on. You can see here, looking D is not even labeled correctly. So there's a lot of little things that you have to do to this one, to this regular complex PDB, such that you can perform MD simulations with it. And so that can be annoying too, especially if you have to do it for all of them. So this will just do everything for you rather fast. So when you get this prompt here, it's going to tell you completed doing everything that we just mentioned before. And it's going to ask you, would you like to prep your complex files for Amber MD simulations? You're going to hit yes. Just simple Y. And it's going to ask you, what starting residue number would you like your complex PDBs to begin with? So before we mentioned that we should start at 3. And so that's, to start at 3 is good when we just want to look at the structure. But when it comes to Amber MD, or any MD simulations, you have to label them such that they're coherent with the indices in molecular dynamics. And mostly all the time, the indices start from 1. If you don't start at 1, at residue 1, you start getting conflicting results. I know because I've run into it starting with the 3, and then stuff doesn't match up later on, and it gets really annoying. So best bet, always start at 1 when we want to create the MD complex PDBs. And this will take a while, mainly because I did it for all of them, not just the best residues. And it's just to see, I really wanted to see how all of them match up at the end, especially for blind docking. It's a good way to see all of them. And it takes a while, but then again, you don't have to do nothing, you just have to wait, so just wait it out. And once that's done, you're going to see all the files here scrambled, but it makes a folder every single time at the end. And it's MD, and whatever ligand you're at, it's going to add the ligand number. And basically all the files that are created are there, organized, so you don't even have to bother looking through here. What you can do with the data here is quickly just look at the complex PDBs. Some people like to use VMD, but I like to use PyMol because it's easier to upload stuff. It's just more friendly. Like I could just drag all these here. And if you give it a sec, I can see overall where all the blind dockings are. And they're all in order, so this is 1. So I can see that 1 is over here, 2 is over here. So it's really helpful. So yeah, I mean, you can also put that side by side with your log files. You can also put it side by side with your log files to get a better idea of everything. And so that's it. Probably after I'll get into the MD stuff, but there's a lot of little things you unfortunately can't automate, so it's a little trickier, and I think it's better to explain that in person. So that's all for now. Like I said, if you can run multiple of these at a time, you don't have to do one each time. I mean, if I just because I know a lot of people, I guess it doesn't, well, they don't become aware that you could just open up these 6 screens, and you could literally just run this. You can make 6 of these and just run each one here, 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 all at the same time. I just want everybody to be aware of that. So you could just run them all at once. I mean, make sure you keep looking at them because there's always prompts that you have to enter, but that's about it. Like I said, it's easy to restart. Just go ahead and delete everything, including the log file. You could just restart again. Again, keep updating your com file in each one. And all these examples, keep updating it so that's just you a test for each domain. And so essentially you could run all 6 of them, well 7 if you include the blind. And and just those sessions there, you could leave it there and it'll do everything by itself. Yep, so I hope it's helpful. I'll do the MD a bit later. I'll try to summarize it because that's a little more difficult. But yeah, that's all for now.